everybody. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Maticus Valentine Cole. I hope you're having a happy Thursday. Yeah. Guys, we're up to 68 subscribers, and I want to thank my buddy, my pal, who gives me my coffee every night for subscribing to the channel. I hope you enjoy what you see. Alright, you guys. Got a little bit of traffic on the video yesterday, and if you have not seen it, the topic was about equalism, and I think it's a pretty important topic. So if you haven't checked it out yet, please do so, and also please share. Alright? Today, we're going to talk a little bit about something that a friend of mine talked to me about this morning. All too often, lately, I've been hearing friends and acquaintances saying that they just don't trust anymore. And, I hear stuff like that, and I go to thinking, well, if you can't trust, then you can't love. Because I really don't believe that you can have one without the other, which is why relationships that try to work themselves out after an act of fidelity has caused interference, or just pervasive lying in a relationship happens, that it ultimately poisons the relationship. Even if you love each other more than anything, if there is no trust, the love can't last. There's nothing to sustain it. And basically, my buddy, I don't know, I wanted to kind of give him a shout out because he subscribes to my channel, but he asked me not to keep his name out of it. But basically, he was in a situation where, once again, he dated a girl, and after about 2 or 3 weeks, she just upped and decided that they weren't compatible, and she broke it off. And from his perspective, it kind of caught him off guard because he thought everything was fine. And he's actually one of those people that is very open in communication, so it wasn't like there was these great moments of silence where they never had an opportunity to talk about whatever the problem was. They talked all the time. And that it still happened, it was definitely odd. And, I know the woman he dated, and she's actually a really good person. And this is not one of the situations where I can take sides, but where I do see a problem is whenever he says stuff like, I don't think I can trust anymore. So today, really quick, we're going to talk a little bit about trust. Now, before we get into it, of course, we're going to go to the sources, see what the clinical and the more real definitions are. Dictionary.com defines trust as, I don't want to paraphrase, a firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something. Yeah, I think it's interesting, though, that it is that it's not all of those combined. But if you have a firm belief in their reliability, or in the truth of something, or the strength of something or someone, then that's worthy of trust. Okay? It's a belief, and so it's a belief-based emotion. UrbanDictionary.com, on the other hand, says trust is what you expect from people close to you. Give someone a lighter, then cover yourself in gasoline. Do you trust the people around you? And I think that's a very jaundiced point of view on what trust is, but it is a fair point. Because honestly, trust is one of those things where trusting somebody in a very real way is what makes you the most vulnerable. Because to truly trust somebody means you have your guard down around people, which means that you're making the risk that your soft spots, the parts of you that are vulnerable, tender, weak. I don't want to say weak. We'll just stick with tender, okay? But those places that are usually vulnerable to attack will not be attacked. And Broken trust means that you left yourself exposed. Someone took advantage of the weak spot, whether it was intentional or no, and got you where it hurt. At least that's one part of it. Well, go so far as to say that, you know, the feeling of broken trust is a universal concept. We've all felt it from the time we were small children to when your buddy says, "Can I play with your car? I'll give it right back," and you let him play with it, and all of a sudden you never see it again. And or to when you're, you know, a teenager and, "Oh, I love you," and "No, baby, I love you." "Oh, and I love you." "Oh, and I love you too, baby." 2 weeks later, "I saw you with that dude." "Yeah, because I love him now. He has a nicer car." What? When we become adults, and then trust seems to begin and end with fidelity, and of course, trust is one of those things that once it's gone, it's really hard to get back if you can ever truly get it back. It's a wound that scars, losing trust. Now, to think about remedying it, because I don't think it's healthy for people to believe that trust has no value, or that they've given up on humanity, given up on life, given up on love, and live a completely trustless existence. That does not sound like living to me. That doesn't even sound like surviving to me, because none of us can really survive without having trust in something. But I wanted to get a different perspective than my usual rant. So I went to a person who I greatly admire, who is wise and good things, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And he said a couple of things that I think are relevant. First, he said, "I've decided to stick to love. Hate is too great of a burden to bear." Which is an extremely potent point, because mistrust is a form of hatred. It's not the kind of hatred where it is to not trust somebody is equal to hate speech or anything like that, but to not trust, and which in my mind means also to not love. It doesn't generate hate, but it can't generate anything positive either. And he makes a very good point. He's sticking with love because hate is too great of a burden to bear. And whether we agree with it or not, or whether we understand the philosophy, it is incredibly important to really understand and accept that hating somebody, hating anything, hurts you inside. Anytime that we hang on to a hatred of any kind, it damages the innocent parts that are inside us. And once that's damaged, it takes a very long time for that to heal. And ironically, one of the elements necessary for that damage to heal is trust. Okay? And so I don't think it's really hard for us to give opportunities to someone to become trustworthy. I really don't think that trust is something that you should give. I think it's something that should be earned. But having trust with someone also gives you another responsibility, and that is to forgive. Now, I will fully grant that there are some things that are more difficult to forgive than others. And even if you manage to forgive them, and let's just call it out the way it is. Someone cheats on you. That relationship is done. Let's be real. I've never known any relationship that has survived an act of infidelity, not without massive scars. That relationship is never the same again. And there are some things that once that trust is gone, there's always something in the back of your mind, always wondering, where's he at? Where's she at? What's she doing? What's he doing? What does this mean? What does that mean? suspicion is rampant, and suspicion is the shadow of mistrust. And um, having that in your life is toxic. And so that stuff is, you should learn to forgive, but it's hard to forget, and that needs to be done with. However, other stuff, minor misunderstandings, even major misunderstandings, where you jump to a conclusion that turns out to be erroneous, or I don't know, there's a few hundred dozen different examples of things where you are sure that someone did you wrong, someone betrayed you, someone played you for a sucker, played you for a fool. It's really hard to forgive someone who damages your pride. But having too much pride is a bad thing. Having mistrust is a bad thing. Exercising forgiveness, it unleashes a burden. It unleashes and relieves a stress. It eases a pain. There's a trade-off that it also then leaves you vulnerable again to that person or somebody else. But it's better to be unburdened and vulnerable than have a hard shell around you and having it weigh you down until you suffocate. You know, there really is no good or bad. But having trust and having faith in that trust is a far better way to live that give you more broad, positive perspectives than simply co-signing yourself to the oblivion of mistrust. Okay? And because of that, and speaking of forgiveness, Martin Luther King said something else as well, which I think is extremely well said. He said, "Forgiveness is not an occasional act. It is a constant attitude." I could not have said it better myself. It is not an occasional act. It's not something that you do once in a while. It is something that you must always be ready to do. Because we've all had things done wrong to us. And like it or not, accept it or not, each and every one of us has done something wrong to someone else for our own self-gain, our own selfishness, or just because we thought we wouldn't get caught. Everyone has done that. You've done that, I've done that, everybody has done that. And when we do get caught, when we have no choice but to stare in the face of our really stupid screw up, what is the one thing that we all hope for, that we all pray for, that we all pine for? I want to just say I'm sorry. Please forgive me. And then have someone love you enough to forgive you, and then start fresh. Hard to find people like that. Really hard. Mostly because people have found it more, found it easier to just simply say, I don't trust people anymore. Screw people, I don't trust people anymore. But those people, from what I see, are not truly happy. And I want everyone to be happy. So to my friend, to you, to everyone else out there who has struggled with feelings of trust and with faith, I would simply say, do what you can to look inside yourself and find the pieces of yourself that are unable to take that step and forgive and to trust and fix it. I guarantee you, I promise you, that once you do, you clean that crap out of your soul, you're going to be in better spirits. You're going to be in a place where you like people more, and you're going to find that people will like you more, that your attitude will be brighter, and your perspectives will be more positive. that sounds to me like a good endeavor, a worthy one, and it's certainly something that is a positive thing that can't help but help you. And if further on down the line you have someone do you wrong again, or someone different does you wrong, you gain experience from that. You gain wisdom from that. Gain wisdom. Don't gain mistrust. Wisdom will serve you in the future. Mistrust serves nothing but the darkness that is hungry to consume. Alright, you guys. Well, that's it for me. Please do me a favor and give this video a liker, and please subscribe. Any other suggestions that you have, please, for content in the future videos, put it in the comments below. In the meantime, and in the between time though, keep the shadows at your feet and forever out of your heart. I loves you. I appreciate you. Laters.